and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rihanna.
And I'm Connie, and today we're here with Dani and Q. So, guys, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you deal when the shit gets real.
All right, so I'm Q. This is Dani. We've been together about 2 years. We'll be celebrating 2 years in February. So how we handle shit when it gets real is that we communicate the best way we can. We're here out in Arlington, Texas, enjoying this Texas weather. It's very cool fall time, so it's great. So and that's a little bit about us. We got 4 kids combined as a blended family. I have a boy and a girl. She has 2 boys. Our age ranges between 12 and 5 years of age, 12, 9, 7, and 5. 13, 9, 7, and 5.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
How does the only girl handle it? Because I kind of liked being an only girl.
She the boss.
She handles it like
Yeah.
She the boss.
Because there's no hand-me-downs. You get what you want because you're the only girl. I was so mad when I got a stepsister. I was like, ugh, stop stealing my curling iron.
Oh my gosh, she handles it so well. She is the boss of these boys, and they will she will tell them, nope, don't, I don't think so. Like, she has no problem handling her own.
Oh my God, I love it.
You tell them what's up and where to go and what to do.
Absolutely, and what not.
Bring me a smoothie, sir.
And then our family is like the opposite. Our parents, or my mom and her mom, are sisters, and they're all girls, and there's one boy, so they're the total opposite.
And then if you ask the one boy, our uncle, he'd be like, oh no, poor's me. Oh, is he the only boy? And they're like, oh, please,
right?
Get out of town.
He should have the secrets of living with women.
It should be really easy for him to get along with women, for sure.
Exactly.
Especially since he didn't have to share a room. He didn't have to get hand-me-downs. You know, there was 3 girls in one room in their family, so he has no reason to complain.
Absolutely. He got the easy route.
Obviously, before you guys became a blended family, you both had to go through a not so fun divorce. So whoever wants to start, what kind of emotions did you go through with that? How did you know it was time? And just anything you want to share that might be helpful to people.
I'll let you go first.
So for me, it was a long time coming. So that process was in the process years prior, stopped it and tried to make it work. That's how Carly got here. We reconciled, went to counseling, and then later on, it still was at that point where it was just like, you know what, this just isn't working in reference to our communication. That was our downfall, was our communication. And so it was bittersweet when it happened. And so it got real once the house was quiet and there was nobody there. And that's when I realized, my family's gone, so it was bittersweet, but, it was well needed. We had our conversations with our kids at the time. And although he understood, we didn't have it with the little one. We didn't have it with Carly, but we had it with Carter, and he understood it. His biggest concern was the loneliness between her and I in reference to, Dad, you're going to be by yourself. And I was like, no, I can come get you anytime. And so he was just like, oh, you going to come get me? And I was like, yeah, anytime you want me to come get you, I'll come get you. And he was like, okay, well then if you can come get me, that means you're not going to be by yourself. And that's fine.
How old was he at the time?
He was 7.
That's really mature for a 7-year-old.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was 7, and he took it well in the moment. I mean, he's one that kind of you'll never know he's down type situation, because he'll keep a smile on his face and he'll keep pressing and he'll keep pushing, through it. And then it's just a one-on-one conversation when we kind of, it was just. I mean, we rushed. We were kind of pushed to marriage. We had a plan, and that plan got destroyed by others, not in my family, but others at a church that we attended, and they were pushing us. So we recognized that we got married way too fast, and so, but we're good friends now. So we have a great co-parenting situation,
Nice.
and so
That's
no
good.
love lost there. So it's all good there.
Yeah. And for me, I got married young. I got married a few years after high school and married my high school sweetheart at the time. And we were married for about 8.5 years. And unfortunately, our situation ended due to infidelity. And just because of that happening several times, I know you asked, at what point did you have to say enough was enough? And for me, after it happened several times, I had to just look inwardly and be like, I have to choose.
This is not stopping.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Like at some point you have to choose. I was like, I know that I love him, but at what point do I love me? And when do I say enough is enough? And for me, unfortunately, I had to say enough was enough after so many times of it happening. And it was hard, of course, breaking the news to our oldest at the time, which he was also 7, ironically, when when my ex and I got divorced. And our youngest at the time was only 1. So like Q, we didn't have a conversation with the youngest, just the oldest. And it was very difficult conversation to have to a 7-year-old, and them having to realize that their whole life is being turned upside down. But
Yeah.
it was worth it. There's growth that comes out of it. And now new relationships, new experiences, and I couldn't be happier.
Healthy
I
experiences.
I like that he's like, wait, are you talking about me?
No, you're just sitting next to me to look pretty. That's the only reason you're there, Q.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Hey, well, I'll be the dime piece.
Now, did your 7-year-old take it like a champ, like his?
I thought he did for many years. I thought he did, but he actually, he is sneaky. He bottled it up, and he actually didn't talk about his feelings for a very long time. It wasn't until literally not even more than a year, 6 to 8 months ago, he finally, and I've been divorced now for 5 years, and he's just now saying how it truly made him feel back then. And that was difficult to have to hear the pain and the hurt come from his voice. It's just hard.
And so far after the fact, like you'd be able to deal with it a little bit better if it was back then and you could address it immediately. But now it's like there's nothing, like it's so past tense. How do I deal with it?
You're spot on. It was very difficult because you are under the impression that they're past it, or that they've made amends with it and they've healed from it and they're growing like you're growing and you're healing from it. But no, it's not the same for kids, at least not for our oldest at the time. And it was very difficult transition, but he's doing so much better now. He's really learned how to accept new people in his life.
Yeah, I realized for my family's divorce, I realized I just hid my pain over sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh well, it's fine.
Yes.
Our 9-year-old, he has his moments, and so and the good thing about it is that they kind of tended to each other with that situation. They were able to. The oldest was able to talk to my oldest, and they have that piece to share in life together. Every now and then, like my son, he had a moment at school, and we didn't know he was gonna have a moment. It just hit him, and so it's you can have as many conversations, I think, as you want with your child in the transition, after the transition, but you just truly never know, because you never know when it's going to hit. You know what I mean? When it could be something that they see on TV, it could be something that they see their friends doing with their mom and their dad, and they see the biological mom and dad, and then they know, like, oh man, I used to have that, now I don't have it anymore. You know what I mean? So we just try to make sure we check. We try to do pulse checks and heart checks with them to kind of see where they are. The youngest, I mean, the two youngest one are fine. Like
they're more accustomed to it because they
yeah.
grew up, they're growing up in that lifestyle. Whereas the oldest, they're used to being under the same roof with mom and dad. They know what that's like. They know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And then to have to split their time between two people that they love more conditionally than anybody else, unconditionally than anybody else, like it's just hard. It's a hard transition. And so it's constant. I think for us as adults and as parents, we always just assume like as we grow, they're growing too. And it's just very different for kids and how they evolve and how they process those things. And so it's literally an ongoing process and healing process. It never really stops. And I think as long as you recognize that as parents, that it never stops, that you always need to be there to support them, give them ways to feel like they're in control of the situation, of a situation that's so far out of their control. You know, when I went through a divorce, I gave my son options of like, hey, do you want me to change my last name to go back to my maiden name, or do you want me to keep my name? You know, I know there's certain things that when the kids go through a divorce, they have no control over. They're losing everything. And so some things I try to give them some control. Like you do have a say to some degree. That's the only reason why I have the last name I do, is because my son wanted that. Any way I can make them happy as much as possible, I'm going to do that.
Okay, you want to? So here's a tricky question for you guys. Does your ex-partner ever like undermine you? Because I remember my dad.
I was like, I know Danny's answer to this question
all the time. We can see their faces. You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, they
like.
They
what do you guys do when they do that?
So when my ex-wife, she tries to undermine me, it's don't charge it to my head on this, charge it to my head, not my heart on this one. But I have to check her sometimes, and like I have to bring her back to like, hey, you know, we're not gonna do that. We're not doing that today. You know what I mean? It's we this is you better than that. We bigger than that now. You know what I mean? We've grown from that. Let's look at it from a different perspective. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to argue, and I just put it blame to you. Like I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not gonna argue with you. So here's the situation. We not gonna do that. I mean, we've had situations where we've had to have long drawn out talks, you know, with each other, and she would start the conversation off like fire, and I would listen, and then I would clap back. It's almost like the Kevin Hart. You seen Kevin Hart? What now? And he's like, "Are you done? Are you done?" And then I'll wait till I get my moment. Are you done? Because now I'm about to bring it back to you, and I've had to do that sometimes. And she has a better understanding now of where I am, where our relationship is. You know what I mean? And now moving forward, you know, it's a lot more respect toward the relationship than it was in the beginning. That's good. She didn't know if this was serious or this was just I was passing time. And now that she knows how real it is, she gives on that level of respect. So
good. That's good.
Okay, how about you, Dani?
My situation is a struggle from time to time.
You're being so nice. Struggle.
My dynamic with my ex-husband is definitely not as civil as his is with his. We just don't always see eye to eye, and many times for us it's best if we just keep it strictly regarding the kids. We don't always see eye to eye, and because of that, we both can be very high strung, him and I, and we're both trying to just get our point across. Sometimes just different motives of like what we feel is important. And whenever it's kind of weird because when we were together, it felt like we were in line with a lot of decisions when it came to the kids. And then now we're on a different path and we have different expectations, just our lives are different. And so we view things differently and our priorities are different. And so we clash often, and we're still trying to learn how to be good co-parents with one another and for one another to make it easier for the kids. But definitely, I heard your question earlier, Connie, when you're asking, you know, do you feel undermined? Oh, of course. Many, many, many times. That sometimes I'll be like, no, don't do this because for whatever reason. And then the kids come back and like, oh, well, dad said.
Too bad.
Exactly.
Too bad you're with me, not your dad.
Right. So for instance, we have a 13-year-old and he, of course, is talking about driving now. Well, mom says no, because you're not ready. And dad says, oh yeah, as long as you get Shays all year, I'll get you a car. Yeah, that's not happening.
Whoa, a car at 13?
Not happening. Not happening.
Talk about two total opposite ends of the playing field. Good Lord. Holy moly.
Yeah. So it's definitely growing pains for sure.
So does it come down to like, okay, well, when you're with dad, whatever, but when you're with me, you follow my rules, basically?
With certain things, yes. For the most part, yes. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I can't make rules in somebody else's household, you know? So,
right.
And at the end of the day, we try to teach the kids, like, you're going to respect your parent no matter what household you're under. So first and foremost, we'll always promote that. And so at the end of the day, when they're under their dad's roof, I just expect for them to be obedient to him and his rules. And then same thing, vice versa here. I don't personally have to agree with it. If it's something I feel like is jeopardizing their livelihood, I'll speak up. But if it's something that I was just like, okay, whatever, I can't fight that fight, like, I'm just going to leave it alone.
That makes sense.
Because then you'd be fighting forever and not enjoying life.
Absolutely. And then eventually it trickles into the kids being made aware of certain situations. And that's one thing Q and I are absolutely like on strong about. Like, we don't want the kids involved in our squabbles.
No, definitely not. So what have been some of the hardest challenges about blending your family?
For me, it was the kids part. Just getting them to learn to cohabitate together, learn
to like each other.
You know, it's new.
Yeah, yes, first to like each other, to even get to the part to loving each other.
Yeah, because you got two big brothers that are coming together, and one is leaving being a big brother to now being up under a big brother, having a big brother. So Carter's been big brother since he's been born. He was the only child for 5 years, and then here comes his little sister, right? And so he's been big brother for 2 years straight, and that's all he's known. And now he's coming into a situation where, I'm not big brother anymore. I have somebody I can look up to, which he looks forward to that. He loves that. So because he adores CJ, right? So CJ got locks, Carter got locks. CJ took his locks out, Carter took his locks out. You know, CJ wears clothes like this, Carter gonna wear his clothes like.
Danny, didn't you say too? The eyebrow wasn't the eyebrow the other thing?
Yeah, the eyebrow. Yeah, he had the eyebrow. Shoot, everything like football, everything. So I mean, Carter took it on. Like, okay, I got a big brother now, because you gotta imagine he's the only boy, she's the only girl. So he didn't have. It was just him and me all the time. And when I wasn't there, it was him and his mom. But his mom don't play the game with him like that. She don't know how to play. Sister definitely can't play. So finding somebody to go outside, play football with, play the game with, he took that on, you know, and he didn't mind stepping back and just, you know, and so, but he also had to understand that he still had to play the role of big brother, because there's two other children,
younger ones,
you know what I mean, that that's gonna now look up to him. His sister already does, and now little Carter's gonna look up to him too, as that piece. And so, and then just getting CJ on board to say, now you're the big brother of 3 siblings, not just one, and you got one that really looks up to you. Now Carter is a bundle of energy. You talk about Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, like, he wakes up with those wings. He wakes up with those wings.
Like, he wakes up hyped. He is lit 24/7.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so and sometimes that could be, and Carter is a kid that he's lovable. So he's touchy, feely. He wants to hug on you, you know, and all that. And everybody's not that way, you know, and so it's an adjustment to just get to that.
CJ actually specifically, like, I think the hardest coming together as a blended family, I think it was the hardest for both, like Q was saying, for both of the oldest, so CJ and Carter. And just for a disclaimer, Red, I know you know, but we've got two Carters, so I know that can get a little confusing. We have two Carters. His oldest was named Carter, and then my youngest is named Carter. So coming together, we're like, how are we going to do this? But yeah. So the two oldest ones, CJ and Carter, they did, there was some struggle there for sure. And CJ is the total opposite. He is not touchy-feely. Even when he was like an infant, I could not hold him without him being like, nah, mama, put me down. So like all the touchy-feely cuddling stuff, he's not for that. So whenever we started bringing the family together, and Carter's coming over here with this bundle of energy and want to just hug and love and show all of his, mushy affection, and CJ's like, no, get off me, don't touch me, get away. Like us trying to constantly try to create that culture that we're trying to have for our family, and getting the kids on board and getting them bought in and seeing each other as, like you said, like being able to like each other first, just so you can get to the point to where you're like, okay, I love you. Okay, you're my brother, you're my sister, even though may not be blood, but still, you view each other as that. And we've been able to, like, the kids have been able to get to that at this point. And we talk about it every now and then, like, man, these kids have really come far from where we started, because it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I will say it did put a little bit of a strain, a little bit on our relationship too, just seeing the relationship of our kids and seeing like when CJ's like, no, and Carter's like, oh, like he's hurt. Of course it hurts the parent. And nobody wants to see their go through that. So that was a little bit of a strain for our relationship as well. But communicating with each other, communicating with the kids, setting expectations, recorrecting, we see something that's done wrong or whatever, that's not in love with the children, and it's just really helped.
Yeah. So do you guys remember a turning point? Was there ever a day where like, it's gotten better now? You know what I mean? Do you ever remember like an instant where it's, I see this getting better?
I mean, it's been a gradual thing, but honestly, I think for me, when I started, I didn't notice it right away, but I would think what made the change is when CJ finally did admit to how he was struggling with accepting new people in his life. And he was like, although I know that like Mr. Q, before he started transitioning to call him dad, Mr. Q, I know he's he's perfect for you. I know he was exactly what you prayed for. Like he brought back things that I told him years ago, like God's going to bring this type of man to me. He's going to love me this type of way. And he's going to do this and this. He's going to love you guys as his own. And here comes my man, and fitting all those things, and CJ recognizing that, but realizing it's still hard for him to accept him into his life in the position he's coming in. And I think after he finally admitted that and got that off of his chest,
it became easier.
And he started not only accepting him more and more, but also the kids. And I think for me, that's when I started noticing it.
I think for me, we started having family nights more often. It was like, y'all gotta figure it out, because y'all on teams. Y'all gotta figure this thing out. And I think that was the piece. But I think once sports got involved, once they started playing football, I think that's where that
because they had that common ground.
Yeah, because that's the common ground. But I think more or less when CJ was out of the sport, when school was over and Carter was still playing, and we would travel to go see him play. It was that piece that where he kind of got to see it, and they would come back and they would talk about what CJ would talk about what he saw, how to get better at this, how to get better at that, and that bond just began to just grow, and it was. And then when Carter was struggling in school, and CJ was like, man, let me help you. Like that touched my heart. I was like, and that was out of nowhere. And we was like, hey, I'm gonna help you with this every day. And he stuck to his word, and he helped him.
That's awesome.
I think that the more that they communicated and they realized, okay, well, this dude ain't going nowhere. Neither his kids. And my kids was like, okay, we ain't going nowhere. So I guess this is the new norm for us. So let's make the best
let's
of
get
this.
used to it.
So,
you guys are doing a great job.
Yes, tell me about it. It can really bring some people together, and they really are enjoying it. Not even just playing the sports, but even just sitting in the living room watching it together.
Turn on
Yeah.
YouTube and
Yeah.
watch.
Even my son, granted, we're not a blended family, but he's an only kid. We just moved 5,000 miles away. As soon as we got him into soccer and he had some teammates, he started coming back around. He was like, okay, this isn't so bad. I've got some friends again. I've got some teammates again. It's amazing how helpful sports and camaraderie and teammates are.
Just so you guys know, you're doing a great job, because when my dad got married and his wife had 2 kids, it did not go well at all.
It's still not going well.
We were, well, considering that they're divorced, yes. Because I have never been sat separately at a dinner table and been told, go sit at the island. The family is sitting at the dinner table. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, that happened on Thanksgiving.
Get separated.
Out of all the days to be sat at the island, you gonna go on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Also, not the only time. Whenever we would go out to restaurants, because we were then a family, or quote unquote family of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they would then sit me and Mitchell at our own table, my brother, and my dad would occasionally come by and sit with us. Wow. He would bounce between the 2 tables because it was so hard to ask for a table for 6. I don't know.
Right? Because we're a family of 6. What the heck?
Yeah. You're like, I don't understand. We've gone to restaurants and they've given us a table for 6.
I mean, if you could have a whole birthday gig at a restaurant,
that's true.
Sit a family of 6.
Yeah. They sat us separately on multiple occasions.
That sounds intentional.
It was very intentional.
Sounds intentional.
Very
it was. The woman was a bitch, and it was her. Yeah. And then it got so bad that we wouldn't even go to her house anymore, even though that's where my dad was living. It would be okay, let's go to dinner and a movie, and I'll drop you guys off back at home.
See,
because it was so bad for us.
Wow. That's where I feel like.
And they still together?
No. They divorced after 5 years.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now he's married again.
She's nice.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is she sitting into the island too?
She's nice. She doesn't have any kids, so it works out.
I thought you were about to say she doesn't have an island.
That too. No, they actually do have an island, but whatever.
No, you guys are definitely doing a great job, because obviously I don't have firsthand experience with it, but I've seen the residual effects in my husband, because my husband comes from a divorce / losing his mom, and his dad got remarried, and I'm not going to use words. It's bad. And the worst thing about it is, and Dani and I have talked about this because she's struggling with the same thing right now of not going to sports. Kyle lost his mom when he was young, and then his dad never went to anything. He went to state for gymnastics, was a high level gymnast. Dad never went, ever.
Wow.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
I live that. My dad didn't go there. He proclaimed he was there. He wasn't there. But
me too.
he wasn't there. My grandfather, though, he was in the stands at everything. Him and my mom. He was at everything. My grandfather was that was my
grandparents
guy.
are the best.
Yay for grandpa.
Right.
But my dad, for whatever reason, when it came to parent conferences, anything to do with school, he'd show up because he just wanted to know what I was doing in class. But when it came to accolades, of academics, when I got National Honor Society, Who's Who, all these, he didn't show up. But at parent conference, he shut everything down. Yeah. He shut everything down to go to those. So
I actually have a funny story about parent-teacher conferences. I was younger in high school, and I was hurt. I was like, Mom, why don't you ever go to my parent-teacher conferences? You always go to my older brothers. You never go to mine. I don't understand. Do you not love me the same? And she's like, listen, they're all going to tell me the same thing. You talk too much, you do your work, and you do a good job. I have to go to your brother's because he's almost failing gym. And then I was like, fair. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but I gotta give my dad his credit. The last game, it was my senior year. It was my senior game. He went balls out. I mean, he called radio stations to tell them about what it was and to show up and all this other stuff. So I gotta give him I give him that because in the games before that he was a no-show.
I
But
almost wonder if it's slight guilt for not going.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
He heard about it afterwards. So when we were adults, all three. I got two older brothers, and we all let him have it. Like you didn't go.
Good for you guys.
You didn't show up, and he was like, "No, I got VHS tapes of my older brother." And my brother was like, "Well, let me see him because I didn't. Let me see where you was sitting because I know for a fact when I look back on the court, you was never there. And my brother
you
was
weren't
a
there.
basketball star.
Yeah.
You weren't there, So, and my little brother, he went to more of my little brother's games than he went to any of me and my older brother's games.
My dad too. Real rude.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the youngest.
I think I don't know. Like I'm gonna try to give my mom some credit here. So when I was younger, so my mom there's 5 of us on my mom's side, including myself. So she did them like 3, me and my 2 older brothers. We were closer in age, and then there was like some time that passed, and then she, popped out another 2. And so,
I sense a little jealousy?
Right. I was supposed to be the only girl, and then 2 more came. No, but so she with me and my older 2 brothers, she was just in a different time in her life. So she was like trying to build up who she was and get her career off the ground. And, so she was working like through 2 and 3 jobs at a time. So although like it bothered me that my mom never showed up at any of my events, I at least understood why. I knew she was working hard for us.
Yeah.
But I mean, by the time my younger sisters came, especially my youngest sister, she was at all of the things, all of her volleyball games, all of her volleyball tournaments. She could get in, like she could be a participant of, I wanted to be a cheerleader in high school and I couldn't. But my sister was able to be on these like select teams and traveling, and I'm like, how? But nevertheless, I mean, I think it was just that it was a different time of my mom's life, so she was more available. She had the funds to be able to do those things, and so to each their own for their reasonings. Some of it could be guilt, like you said, Rieta, and some could be like, hey, I'm just in a better position in my life at this time.
My mother-in-law was kind of like that between her first daughter and then my husband and her son. It's like they were totally different, upbringings and stuff, because it's like being pregnant at 16 versus being pregnant when you're 30. It's like 2 totally different worlds.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, like on my dad's side, my biological dad, I didn't have a relationship with him growing up, so he of course was never in attendance to any of my things. However, my mom eventually did remarry, and she married one of my youngest sister's dad, and he became such a huge part of my life. He, like, even though my mom and my dad still aren't married to this day, as you can see, I still call him my dad. I love him to pieces. And when I got into my relationship with Q and going through this, having a blended family, I realized like, oh, you know what? I never knew all this time my dad was teaching me how to be an amazing step parent. And I never realized, because he loved me, like, even though I was not his own biological child, he loved me as such. And he taught me in his own actions how I can love a child that I didn't birth myself and still be there for them and support them and love them and nurture them. And so I remember calling him one day and being like, Dad, thank you. Like, you didn't know this, but you were teaching me how to be an amazing step parent. And nobody really realized how difficult and how challenging it can be until you get into it. And so I had to give my dad his props where they definitely were due, because he really, and he stepped up and took on 5 children, not just, so 4, not including my little.
So how did you and Q meet? We got to get to the good stuff.
Probably should have started off with that. Not gonna lie, probably should have started with that.
That's all right. We're here now.
So,
there you go.
Okay. So, man, I really don't.
Farmersonly.com, right?
Just kidding. So here's how it really happened. So my boys, one of them were on this app, and we were scrolling through it, and they were just showing me like all the chicks that be on there, and
all the baddies.
Yeah, and so they was like, man, yeah, you gotta get on there, you gotta try it. So I was like, all right, bro, I'll do it. And so I'm on there, and they're asking me for 6 pictures, and I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing this. I'm not giving you 6 pictures just so I can. No, forget it. I'm done with it. So
you should do like the dad photos too, where it's like up here, like from the nose up, from the chin up.
I'm about to say, or the
really great angle.
Yeah.
Those really classic dad photos.
Because you can't. I filled out all the profile stuff. I did all that stuff, and then when it got to the photos, I put one up there, and they was like, "You can't move until we need 5 more." So I was like, "Forget it. I'm not gonna do it." So that was like in like June or something, May or June. So I forget it. I'm not doing that. And so months passed by, and it was around August. It was the beginning of August or whatever. And so they talked about it again because somebody that we went to church with was on there, and I was like, really? Why is she on there? Boom, boom. And then so I said, okay, let me try this one more time. And then so I was like, bro, did y'all put 6 pictures on there? Like, what y'all put? And they was like, yeah, you got to put the 6. I was like, bro, I don't want to do this. So I ended up doing it, but I only put 2 pictures of I put 1 picture of my, no, 3. No, I only put 1, and I had screenshots.
I love how Danny's like, no.
I guarantee you, I would not have swiped. I would have not swiped with just 1 photo.
Yeah, so I did one. I did 1 picture, and then the rest were like screenshots of places that I liked and other stuff. And then so this one girl hit me up, and then she was like, "You need more photos. I can't just go off this one." And I was like, "Oh my god, okay." So then I put the other photos on there, and then continue to scroll, and so then I was just like, you know what, God, I really ain't feeling this. So, but
what app? You didn't tell him what app.
Can I say the story and then I can present the app? You interrupt the gospel. So eventually, I just prayed to God, and I said, God, you know what? Whatever happens on this, I just want a woman that can agree, that can give me the answer to this one question. They can answer it the right way. I'm in. You know what I mean? So I asked that question.
What's the question?
I asked.
You can't just leave us hanging.
Right, he keeps trying to leave all the information at the end.
I'm gonna do.
This is a bad novel.
The question I asked God was, when I asked the woman, how can I pray for her? I don't want it to be health and strength, wealth, and all this. I want it to be for real. Like, how can I pray for you? How can I literally pray for you? And so, and I only asked it to 1 person in the whole app, and it was her. And she answered. I sent her the message at 4:39 a.m. in the morning. Nice. And because I was already up in my meditation time, getting ready for work, and so I just shot it to her. And the app that we met on is called Hinge. And so I shot her that message. She ended up. She didn't respond right away.
I sure did.
It was a while. So I guess that's not gonna happen. I mean, I was scrolling back and forth, and so I was like, well, if she don't respond, then I'm just gonna end the app. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what time was it. It was in the evening.
Okay, no, it wasn't.
Tell your story.
Okay, pause. All right, so let me help.
Y'all are killing me
real quick.
This really bad novel, yeah.
Okay, so Hinge, like you said, was the app. And at this point, I had tried several apps before. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm over it. Do I have time to deal with the dude? No, I probably don't. So like, I'm about to just quit the app. And I was so close. I was like this close to just getting rid of the app altogether. And something like told me, just hang on to the app a little while longer. And I was against it. It was like a little voice. It was like, just a little bit longer, So one day I happened to go into the app. I got a little notification, and I'm kind of like OCD on certain things. So like, with the phone, you get a notification, you got the little red thing that says one.
And it annoys you.
It annoys the crap out of me. Yeah, exactly.
I got that.
I clicked on it because I was like, I just need to get rid of it. I didn't know who sent me what, but I just need to get rid of it. So I go to the app and I see his face. And so I was like,
I didn't send her a message. So.
He didn't. So ironically, with this particular app, it can match you with what they consider your most compatible partner. And so they had they had said that he was my compatible partner. He did find interest in me. He gonna lie and say he didn't, but he did.
But I didn't send you no message. It sent you a message.
It doesn't matter. He swiped approving me. And so it notified me, and it also said that we were compatible. So I was like, okay, well, he's cute. And I was going through the pictures and I saw 3 photos of him, and he did have some other memes. And so I was like, okay, I'm feeling the photos. They looked a little old, but I was like, I'm feeling the photos. These memes.
The first one was the most recent one. That I just finished my head.
Yeah, I know that was the only one that was current.
That is true.
And so anyway, so I'm like, okay, let me just look into it and see. So I swiped and I was like, okay. So I went ahead and I accepted him. He sent me he did send me a message eventually, and we kind of talked, and it was just so delayed. Like I could tell he wasn't putting in a whole bunch of effort. I wasn't putting in a whole bunch of effort. We were like lazily dating, you know? And so anyways, we like casually talking, you know? And so at some point I was like done. I had already made it up in mind. I'm not going to move forward. Even though I saw him and I found interest in him, I'm like, I just really probably don't have the time. And so I went back to my app, and at this point, he already sent me that message. And I saw it like 4 hours later. It was like 8 in the morning. And by the time I saw it, and it actually stopped me right in my tracks. And I was like, wow, because mind this, I'm already on the dating apps. And believe me, the questions that I'm not receiving is, how can I pray for you on these apps? Sure. I'm getting D-pics. I'm getting everything that I don't want and everything I'm not interested in. And so whenever I saw that message, I was like, okay, this man is different. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who's looking for something real, not somebody who's just trying to get me in the bed. So just the simple fact that he asked that, and he was along the lines of like my faith and what I find important. I wanted that to be important for my partner too, and that opened attention to him. And
so now the real question is, what did you respond with?
I honestly responded with what I was really wanting for not only my life. So I talked about my, career goals. I talked about some of the things that I wanted for my children, how I wanted them to grow and be, kingdom men, and I wanted them to be leaders. And, I talked about just what I'm aspiring for, and some of my insecurities too, some of my shortcomings, my weaknesses. Like I just poured it all out there, and I had said to him, this time around, I'm going to be transparent with what this time around, because last time I'm just trying to be cute. I want a long time relationship. I want something that with some good foundation, and I felt like that was a great start.
It was 2 paragraphs full of prayers, and so it took some time to get through all of
just being like wealth. I would like to be wealthy.
And that's what keyed me in. I was like, God, quit playing. Stop it. I don't believe you. And it was just like, you asked, this is what you asked for, and I gave it to you. So I went forth with it. You know?
And eventually we kept talking for maybe about 2 or 3 weeks through the app, and then we eventually went to texting, like exchanging each other's number. I realized he had a freaking Android, so I had to convert him to iPhone, the right place.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I had to convert him to green bubbles. Yes, I hate the green bubbles. No. Come on. So I had to convert him real quick, and finally did. And then we ended up going to a restaurant that night, and we stayed there until maybe like midnight or something, and then we went back to the same place a couple of times, and then we ended up going to this other place called Twisty Oaks, and we stayed out there until like 5 o'clock in the morning, like just talking. And my mom called me because she knew I was on a date. She was like, "Where are you?" She tracked me and everything. She like screenshotted it and everything?
She thought you were dead.
Like, it looks like you're in the parking lot. Are you really there? Like, it's 5 in the morning.
Okay?
Are you okay? Are you breathing? Are you alive? Do I need to come for you? Like, she was sending me text messages. Yeah, mom was not playing, but yeah, that was like an amazing night. We still talk about that night to this day, and every now and then we go back to that restaurant too, and just
it capped off a lot, because moving forward every day, it was we didn't end the day till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I got to be at work at
We both
5:45.
did. Well, yeah.
So, and I still got to drive. I'm driving from one city to another city, which is 45 minutes away. But I'm in her city. So, in her city was 30 minutes away from my city. And so I drive off. So she's going home. She's taking a 10-minute ride home.
It's like a 2-minute ride.
Yeah, maybe 2 minutes. I'm taking a whole 30-minute ride home. I get home, shower, lay in the bed, call her, we FaceTime, we go to sleep together. I wake back up, she's still asleep. I'm getting myself together, ride all the way to my job with her still on the phone, and then finally in the call. It was
They're gonna be like, okay, y'all are way too much. That was just high school puppy love.
No, I love it.
Well, that's
You're talking to a romance writer. You know I love the things.
That's true. That's true. Well, you and Q get along well because Q is that's him. He's like the hopeless romantic. He's the one that comes with all these little ideas.
I love it, Q.
And I'm like, I'm like, babe, really? That it's so him. He keeps me like into those things.
Gotta be, man. When you're planning stuff, if you're always planning for something, you don't have time to argue. You don't have time to do all the other stuff when you're always planning.
That's true.
I try.
Well, and since you've already touched base on your faith, how has your faith played a part in all of this?
Oh, it's number one. Like, we wouldn't be together if the faith wasn't there.
Yeah, because if you wouldn't have asked that question.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. If I wouldn't ask that question, definitely. And then even I talked to my mentor about it, and he was just like, "Why would you question God? And he gave you what you asked for." Like he went in on me. We went to breakfast, and he just, "Why would you question it? Why would you question it?" And and I was just like, "Well, bro, I didn't listen. It just happened, and I wasn't expecting it to happen." And he was like, "But that's how God works. He works in the unexpected." And so I was like, "You're right. My bad." So
one thing I will say for me, one thing that helps me as far as my faith is knowing that God brought him to me. And when times get rough, because they do, even though we can joke around and we can laugh, we can have fun, times do really get rough between him and I from time to time, like with any relationship.
Yeah, of
course. Just relying on faith. Yeah, relying on our faith, relying and knowing that like God brought you into my life and he brought you for a reason. And even though this trial is difficult and it's hard, but we're going to fight through it because we know there's a greater purpose. And so it just kind of keeps us grounded, and it keeps us keeping our eyes on the prize and not letting just the incidences that happen that are up close and feel personal and are attacking us for whatever reason, like we're not allowing that to get the best of us, so much so to where we're separating and moving forward, and then plus knowing just how that affects our kids too. And
just, but it's the faith that's kept us together.
Absolutely.
It's literally the faith that's kept us together, because we can tell when we're out of alignment with God. We can tell because the struggle is real. And we're battling each other when it's literally the enemy trying to separate us, because he knows that there's a greater good coming from what we got going on. And so if he can take the man out of the house, then therefore that leads to other things that can sabotage her boys, that can sabotage my kids. And so we just try to do our best to understand when the enemy is really attacking us and when it's just us.
Yeah.
So,
y'all are giving me all the feels
sometimes.
For sure. Like it keeps us grounded. It keeps us focused, and it keeps us from having to just continue focusing on ourselves individually and how we're affected individually and looking at the bigger picture.
And every time we step out, God has a way of bringing the right person at the right time to bring us right back on track. There was one point when we were gonna call it quits, and it was her best friend that kept this thing together.
Legitimately,
literally kept it together. It was one that we were literally done. We were about to call it quits. We were done with that thing, and her best friend and her husband now hit us up with this. It's called Freedom. And it's a Bible study. It's a 12-week Bible study. And I kid you not, had we not gone through freedom, we wouldn't be talking to y'all probably right now. Like freedom kind of opened our eyes a little bit. And like I said, her best friend is like, that's man, they're awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome. I was ready for her when I called her and I was like, oh, I'm struggling. I'm mad. I'm angry. I was ready for my best friend to be like, girl, no, leave. Yeah, she did not jump on the bandwagon. She was just like, first and foremost, was going to pray about it. And so we did. We started the conversation in prayer, and she just talked to me and shared some really great wisdom at the end of it all. She was like, girl, I don't know what I was telling you. That was all God, like just feeding it all through me. And it was everything I needed to hear in the moment. And it definitely did heal our relationship and help change my mind so that way I could refocus. So.
Yeah. Because it was me coming back from freedom, realizing my wrong in the situation and being able to, it was a long ride anyway. It was an hour and 15-minute ride back home. So it was just like me being able to think about what transpired, what my wrong was, and being able to talk back to her and let her know, like, hey, my bad.
Well, yeah. There's another awesome program that's very faith-based. You guys might have even heard of it. It's called Love Dare, and it's like a journal that you do together. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's from Fireproof. Yep.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yep. Oh yeah, I love that. And we figured out each other's love language. So
that's
key. Once we figured that out, I think we've really keyed in on each other's love language and kind of went from there with that.
Yeah. And then actually, when I was, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say when I was getting married, actually, the pastor that married us gave the love languages book to me and my husband to read, to talk about and learn our love language, which we loved the book. It was great. Really, it is helpful.
For sure. Very helpful to understand each other's love languages. And I guess also just knowing that even though you know each other's love language and you expressing that, remembering that your partner can also change as they evolve and they transition, and their love language can change right along with them. And you just always being willing to pivot to them. Mm-hmm. And then just us being together, we're like, it's almost like iron sharpens iron, and even though sometimes it doesn't always feel good, like to compare it to, plants getting pruned, you're taking some leaves off, you're cutting it off, and it may not feel good, but at the end of the day, you look beautiful. And so I kind of look at that when it comes to our relationship too, like iron sharpens iron. And even though it might hurt while we're sharpening each other and making each other beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's all gonna be worth it. It's just going through the trials of getting there.
Yeah.
And we've learned how to, I think we're still learning. But our progression, she coined this phrase and I love it and I use it. It's progression over, what is it?
Progression, not perfection.
Yeah, progression over perfection. However.
Because you're never going to reach perfection. Let's be
correct.
real. No.
Correct. But we've learned how to, we struggle with safe conversation in the beginning. We struggled hard. And I think now we have gotten to a place where where we can have safe conversations now better than we did way back then. And so we hold each other accountable. So if I'm falling off, she's right there to put me back on.
Pick you up.
Yeah, and then when she's falling off, I'm doing the same. But we're able to be receptive to the feedback that we're receiving when we're being held accountable.
And our kids sometimes, they hold us accountable too, because they know what it's like when Q and I are good, because we like laugh all the time, we joke all the time. It's just nothing but fun times. And so when it's not, especially CJ,
they know,
like, can y'all get it together? Can you smile? Can y'all talk? Like, fix it.
Yeah, he comes privately and was just like, so she's mad.
Oh man, you guys have better kids than what I was. I was more of like the fan the flame. I'd be like, oh, he's such a douche.
Yeah.
I was not like, oh, so you guys are fighting. I'd be like, oh yeah, he's so mean. I hate him.
He would literally.
So just be thankful you have good kids.
He would literally be like, so she's mad. And I'm like, yeah, she's just going through some stuff. You gonna fix it? And I'm like, we working through it. Yeah, but are you gonna fix it? And I'm like, I got it. And so, I mean,
Or
I
else
love
he's
it
gonna
though.
fix it for you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I love it though, because he, for him to be able to even have that type of conversation with me lets me know how comfortable he is with just
Absolutely.
coming to me and talking to me. So,
Yeah.
so it's all good. So we love him. I love him for that, for sure.
All right. So one last fun question. If there's anything that you could have in the world, what would you choose to have?
I'm not good with picking when I have multiple things to pick from. I just want it all.
Well, fine. What would you guys both want? One thing that you would both want. That's not on like, I don't know. Come on. I'm sure you have a good answer.
A house with a deed.
With the deed.
Ooh, owning your own home and owning the deed to the home. That is.
Yeah, no mortgage.
That's a big. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a big expense as a mortgage.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's like renting.
And I know Danny be telling me you guys need a bigger house. So
we need a bigger house. We are like
Me
all
too.
on each other. So like you took it right out of my mouth, Q. Like definitely, even though it seems so practical, especially when you can have anything in the world. But at this time, yeah, I want a house, a bigger house.
But you want one of those like Instagram, like beautiful houses,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I want every soft closed drawer and cabinet. I want every like top of the line, floor to ceiling windows. I want it all.
Is there gonna be a football field?
Yes.
Football
field, basketball
in-ground pool.
In-ground pool.
I'm coming over.
You're in Texas.
Yeah, I'll take that with a couple of horses and.
You're in Texas. You definitely need an in-ground pool.
Oh, yeah, and you need horses too in Texas. I'm coming over.
Right, you're more than welcome. We'll have plenty of room.
Gonna do a Yellowstone or whatever that TV show.
We could just find something. That would be great.
The housing market is absolutely trash right now.
Ridiculous.
So, I feel you.
The houses.
And I have a beautiful home, and I'm like, can I please get another home? Because we remodeled our home, but we bought a starter home. I don't even have 2 bathrooms. I have a bath, and we now have a baby. So I'm I'm ready
again.
for another house.
Never again will we only have one bathroom. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
That can't work.
We lived for
even though my
7 years with one bathroom. Never again.
Oh, that's brave. Y'all are brave.
I didn't have a choice.
Like one bathroom, I could not imagine.
Yeah. And I have a beautiful kitchen and a beautiful bath. We remodeled this house from top to bottom, and I'm still like,
yeah,
because I have like the closet space of like nothing.
Yeah,
my closets are insane. I have to it's like playing Tetris in my closets because that's how tightly I have to pack everything. Right. And there's only 3 of us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You totally have to get extremely creative when your place is small and you have a lot of people in it. Like we have a 3-bed, 2-bath. It's very similar. Like it was kind of starter home. It was great for a small amount of people. We remodeled last year. We have an amazing bathroom with a walk-in shower. We got it's not nice. It's definitely a whole lot different from when it was when we first bought it 8 years ago. But I mean, it's time for a new one. We need more space. We need another half bathroom because even though we have 2, we constantly have children knock, knock, knock. Can we use your bathroom? Somebody's in ours. And it's like
you're killing me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take a bath.
Right? Wait, please.
Well, and like that guy thing where they take forever to go to the bathroom. I'm like, Tom, you can't be in there forever. I have to go to the bathroom. Get out. It's the worst.
Well, we're putting the juju out there that you guys are gonna get a new, awesome, bigger house.
Yeah, we sure hope it comes through.
Pray for us, manifest for us, do it all. Yes,
I'm doing it for me too.
Yes, thank you. We'll do the same.
You'll definitely be invited to the house when it happens.
For sure.
For sure.
All right. Well, this is how to deal when shit gets real, guys. We will see you next week. And thank you, Dani and Q, for coming on.
Awesome.
And don't forget to rate and review us, everybody. And we'll see y'all next episode.